Before we go on to the program, I'll do a little bit of an intro myself, actually, because I'm also, I don't know if I'm a travel expert, but we'll do that. So I believe that we are in a world that is going to travel very differently up to what we've been used to, which is why I believe, actually, that travel is dead. At least travel as we know it is dead. First of all, my name, now that you get it, Paul Papadimitriou. Yes, I was born in Switzerland. My father was born in Tripoli, Peloponnesos. My family comes from Smyrna. My mother was from Finland herself, so already like I have 3 passports right there. So the alternate story is that my real name is Jason Bourne, and the 3 passports are locked in a safe in Zurich, obviously. And you can find me, and I'm always very happy to be in Greece, because at least here everybody can actually pronounce my last name correctly, Papadimitriou, and you can find it anywhere actually online, whether on LinkedIn, even Snapchat. Obviously, I'm too old for it, but I'm still on it. I've been an entrepreneur. I started my first startup in the 90s. That makes you believe how old I am, actually. Whilst I was doing university, my second startup was right after that, in the 90s as well. Sold both, had other startups, became a consultant in the 2000s. And you know what? For 2 years, that's one link with travel, I was actually a lobbyist for both the hospitality and the travel industry, both in Brussels and in Switzerland, where I was born. I was defending people like you, actually, so I knew quite well, actually, the travel industry. Then I moved to Japan in about more than 10 years ago now. I opened the consultancy I have, and I do work with a lot of travel-related business, not only, including a lot of airlines, actually, and including the IATA, which probably some of you know as well. So I know a little bit about travel. I also host, one is the leading podcast on air travel. You can find it anywhere. It's called Layovers. We're actually quite famous. It's pretty cool, actually, to do that. So all this is bragging rights, obviously, just to tell you that I know a little bit about travel. I've traveled this year more than that's a lot, 300,000 kilometers so far in 2018. Does that make me a travel expert? I don't know, but I know a little bit about planes, and especially, I actually able to see what happens anywhere else. So when I say travel is dead, what does that mean? I've been anywhere. I've been living as well in the Philippines. I travel a lot to Southeast Asia because I have lots of clients there. Obviously in Japan, where I used to live, in China as well, in Europe, in the US, a little bit in South America as well, especially Brazil. And you know what? Everywhere they will tell you, we are the best country in the world for tourism. It's great. I mean, I'm Greek, so obviously I will say Greece is the best country for tourism, but everybody will tell you the same thing. And as we're growing, as the economy is growing, as all these countries are coming in line with our world, we will have more and more competition, but also more and more people traveling. Actually, if you look at if you look at these numbers, about 20 years ago, basically at the end of the Cold War, when the Berlin Wall fell, there were probably 500 million tourists, and they were mostly Westerners, basically. They were people from Europe, from the US, and a little bit from Australia. Fast forward now, and you have around 7 billion potential tourists. 7 billion potential tourists. A lot of them are still locked. As I just told you, I traveled, for instance, in China. When China will actually lift their travel rights, because currently you have a lot of people that have the money to travel but just cannot travel due to the fact that they don't have the right to travel, that will change the way completely that we travel. I believe we are the last generation that has seen places empty. We are the last generation that has seen places empty. I can already see that when I travel in Southeast Asia, when you've been to places, including Burma, which was empty, literally empty 10 years ago, and it's like completely full with people, especially, of course, from Asia. It's crazy. We are seeing an increase in number of people that are traveling that we're really not actually ready to cope with. None of us are ready. It's not you, Greece, it's none of us is ready to do that. The other thing that is very interesting is obviously that the world is not only getting bigger, but the world is getting cheaper. It used to take my father, when he moved to Switzerland in 1951, it used to take him 42 hours of driving through what it used to be called Yugoslavia to come see his parents here in Athens, where now it costs you 42 euros to actually come to Athens. That's all over the world. You can travel long-haul flights now, especially in Asia, but we have Norwegian, for instance, and I'm sorry that I'm talking about another airline in front of Rula here from Aegean, that are offering very, very low-cost prices that allows more and more people actually traveling. The other trend, obviously, is that technology is getting cheaper. What you have in your pocket right now, And I always fun to say that in Greece because there's more mobile phones in Greece than people, actually. What you have in your pocket right now is actually more powerful than the entire Apollo program that sent us to the moon, and clearly also more powerful than any type of computing that used to be the size of this room about 50 years ago. And of course, we watch YouTube videos with it, and catch YouTube's videos. So these are the three trends. The world is bigger, the world is cheaper, and technology goes faster. These are the three mega trends that are impacting travel a lot, and you'll hear that throughout the day today. So travel is dead. Travel as we know it is dead because of these new travelers. So what are these new travelers wanting? Who are they? I meet them all the time. I travel, including for destination. We'll hear about specialists of destinations later on today. But the new travel, obviously, a lot of them are from China, as I told you, Southeast Asia. Asia is the new downtown. 5 billion people are concentrated in Asia. So these are the people that are going to travel. You see them. I was flying from, Athens to Doha a few months ago with Qatar. Sorry, yet another airline. I promise you I travel a lot with Aegean. And I was in business class. It was 12 seats. I was the only Westerner. The 11 other seats were Chinese. I did another travel, when was it? I think from Montenegro to Zurich in an old Fokker 100. Again, same situation, Montenegro, and I was the only Westerner in the plane. Everybody else was coming from Asia. This is already happening. You probably see it here yourself in Greece. You've seen it these past few summers. It's increasing to a level that we are really not prepared, as I told you, to do. So they are people, of course, from Asia. The other thing that is very interesting, thanks to the lowering of the cost of travel, is the generational gap. So suddenly, these old personas, we used to say, oh, you'll have the young travelers, backpackers, and the older, as changing. You have a lot of silver hair, meaning that you have a lot of people that are now over 70 that will probably live until 95, and nothing is actually made for them. I used to live in Japan, as I told you, and you can see that in Japan, because they have a very old population already, they're a few years ahead of us, they are preparing the entire infrastructure for old people. Like one example, stupid, but one example in the trains, the famous trains, they have the Shinkansen, you can see that the toilets are much larger with very, very large doors so that people can come in, obviously, with a wheelchair, but also there's a lot of places to hold yourself if you have difficulties actually moving. All this is being prepared. We see that already in China as well, because China, because of their one-child policy, which is now two-child policy, they also have an aging population, and they're already catering for that. But the tourists, these people have money, and they are traveling, and they will want a different type of experience. And then you have, of course, on the other end, what I hate to call the millennials, because I don't think they do actually exist, that are also wanting different kind of experience. And you have all this mixed at the same time. Then you have the fact that it's cheap, and the technology is everywhere. Now, and you've seen that probably as well, everybody is self-reliant. The way I travel, and I know I'm a bit of an outlier because I travel a lot, I don't plan anymore. We used to plan vacations. We used to say, okay, I'm going to do this the first day and this the second day. When you look at the habits of now young travelers especially, but not only, because tech actually really impacts everyone, especially, again, people coming from Asia who've been used to technology much because they didn't have anything before, so they got used to using mobile phones very quickly. They will come to a place and decide then what they want to do. And they will have all this in their pocket. You cannot lie to them anymore. You cannot actually tell them stuff that is not right, because we all are robots. We all have a brain in our pocket. When we're not sure about something, we Google it, or we go on Wikipedia, or Wikitravel, etc. Here, by the way, none of what I'm saying it's good or bad. I'm not making a judgment. It's just how people are traveling nowadays. They are self-serving. They know everything on the spot, and they do everything on the spot. The other thing is commodity everywhere. You probably, again, because I travel a lot, but you've probably seen that yourselves. You go to these big places, but also now the small resorts lost in the middle of Cambodia, and you have a Starbucks. And you have all these big brands, all the same. You go to every single airport now, and it's all the same brands, the Zara's, et cetera, et cetera. There's a sameness to the travel experience. Why? Because everything is commoditized. You have the large chains that offer you the same comfort and experience everywhere. And how can you actually compete with that? And that's very interesting, because you see that travelers want both. They want the comfort of something they already know. I use Starbucks, it could be something else. But at the same time, they want a uniqueness of a different experience. And it's really, really hard to try to cater for both at the same time. To say, you don't want to be too out there so people are completely uncomfortable. They don't like to be uncomfortable in holidays, especially. But at the same time, you want to give them something a bit unique. Again, some stuff that you will hear about it today. So what are the new experiences these new travelers are willing to try? How do they see travel, the Sims? First, you've got, like I just said, find your magic. You know, your magic, because in a world of being commoditized, look, I'm going to take a very silly example of a technology. When you see an oven, and I'm only talking to the gentlemen, you know what an oven is. You know, you put food and it heats up. Men? No, only women? Okay. You don't go in front of it and say, wow, this is a magical piece of technology. Because we get used to experiences, we get used to stuff we see, and we very quickly consider them as a commodity. We don't look at them anymore. For travel, it's the same thing. You want more and more wow, more and more experiences that are out there, and it's really actually hard to find your magic. So that's the first thing, as travel industry, you have to find what is your magic, what differentiates yourself from the other kind of travel experiences. You have to find their magic. Understand, again, they're all using technology, they all have data about them. The greatest thing, and I know it's a big brothery, is to arrive, and I don't have time today to explain to you that, but we could do that over coffee, to arrive in a hotel, and it was not a 5-star, and they already know a lot about me, not the creepy stuff, but the stuff that I would love. And then suddenly I was like feeling very comfortable because they simply had looked who I could be before I had arrived. And especially the young generation expects a bit of that now, or at least that you remember them the next time you come. The next time you come, if you prefer to have, I don't know, Pepsi in the fridge, they like you to remember that the next time they come. It's very simple nowadays, because all this is actually, you have tools that do that for very, very cheap. But they do actually expect that. You have to act your magic. That's for me the most important. All my life, if I have one thing that I've always done, is get shit done. I'm sorry for, pardon my French here, get shit done. People do not want BS anymore. You cannot tell them, oh, I'm so sorry, my credit card machine is not working, because you are not willing actually to accept a credit card and you prefer cash. People do not want that anymore. And they will actually call you out. They will obviously call you out online, but they will especially not come back to you anymore afterwards. We hear a lot that people say millennials are not loyal. It's not true. Millennials are loyal. They're not loyal to the lies. They're not loyal to the bad experiences. They are loyal if you bring them a nice experience. And everybody is becoming like that. There is loyalty, but loyalty to actually people that are honest. So you have to create your magic, understand. And you have a lot of competition. You know, there's the Airbnbs and other stuff like that that exists, and it will come, you know, there's this big company called WeWork. WeWork does these co-working spaces all around the world. They just opened WeLive, which is co-living spaces. The chances that they're going to open WeTravel is actually very close. At some point, they will say, you know, we have all these people coming to work, coming to live. We're going to create the experiences for them as well. You'll have to compete with that. You'll have to understand how it's the magic that people want so that you can create that kind of magic, right? And then, to finish up, why travel is dead? Because the future actually holds a very, very big key here. Because it's going faster and faster and faster. It's a race. The people, the cheapness, and the technology. I don't know if you know Alexa, if you use Alexa, this famous Amazon technology, but it could be Siri, it could be any of these voice technologies. You say, I want toilet paper. Alexa, please buy me toilet paper. You don't say which brand of toilet paper you want. You just say toilet paper. So you give out the brand choice to Amazon in that case, or it could be anyone who actually provides you these services. We're very close to the fact that people will say, I want to go to Greece. And they will not tell you which airline they want to go to Greece, and they might even not know which hotel they want to go to Greece. They say, I want to have 1 week of holiday in Greece. Alexa, please bring it for me. So your differentiation certainly will move, because the loyalty might not be with the airline. People nowadays don't really care if they fly Ryanair or EasyJet to come to Greece. They want to fly cheap. So the step from that to simply say to a voice command, I want to fly to Greece, it's very, very near, actually, nearer than we think. So you have to step up, because if you don't step up, you're going to be lost in the noise, and you're going to give out the power to actually people like Amazon and others. I said travel is dead, but you know what? It's up to you, because you have, and I do believe you have one of the most beautiful countries in the world, indeed. And that's why you have all these people coming. And I come all the time, because it's one of the most beautiful countries in the world. But again, with all the competition and all these 7 billion people coming, you have not only to say it, but to act it. You have to become that tourism destination they want, that tourism destination you wish for. And I really want you to succeed. And on that, thank you very much, guys, for listening to me for 15 minutes.